has to go across the whole country. Can somebody who has accident case go straight in and get the best care? Can somebody who just has gone into a stroke or something go in there and be sure of getting care? Those kind of things. And also people who you have some provision for snake bites and warning, procurement of 10,000 vials you're proposing. I don't know whether 10,000 vials of anti-snake venom, whether that will be sustainable supply for Nigeria, especially in some particular areas where these things are. So I just want to hear whether you have some plans of one, emergency care, particularly emergency care, how we can up it, how our people can be confident that they can walk into a health center, into a hospital, and receive optimal emergency care.
Chairman, mine is not a question, it's just a comment. I quite felt very emotional when the DG was speaking. I've listened to you several times make presentations here, not once, not twice, and your competence and capacity has never been in question. And we thank you for, like you said, trying to make gold out of grass. At some point you used the word that it was a devastating situation, and we feel for you. You've achieved a lot from almost not the support you are supposed to get. I can understand the handicap, and from the way you spoke, I hope you don't get tired. I just hope you don't get tired. Yeah, even us here, I don't know how we can be able to help, but I think we should look inwards and see how we support NAFDAC. There's no way you can build a mountain out of a molehill. I'm just going to encourage you not to get tired. It's a situation that we found ourselves. I don't want to also sound frustrated, because if we, who are supposed to assist, are handicapped and frustrated too, then it means there's a catastrophe. So please, madam, be encouraged. Don't get tired. Whatever we can do, we will. Thank you.
Let me take it from where my brother Senator Osita dropped. And mine is not just a comment, but could it be a plea or an appeal to the executive arm of government to address the real priorities of Nigerians while and when implementing budgets? We had it on record that the highest authority in the country said that we actually generated revenues as expected for 2025 budget as far back as August. This was not Minister of Finance, this was not Minister of Budget, not even the Vice President, it was Mr. President himself. So one wonders how and why critical agencies like NAFDAC couldn't have been funded, given the mandate of this all-important agency. And then we're funding projects and programs that are not even in the budget as priorities of government. It is either a misplacement of priority of government or not understanding governance at all. So I appeal to Mr. President to come to the aid of NAFDAC in saving the lives of Nigerians. Even if you construct roads or houses and people are not well, because the regulatory agency that is supposed to regulate the medications that we take and much more, what happens to those roads that you are constructing? So I join you, Madam, in asking for more and more and more attention to NAFDAC. I so submit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues. Mine is just to commend the DG. I watched your interview on channels where you defended alcohol, selling alcohol on sachets, and I was so much impressed. All attempts by the interviewers to twist you, you stood your ground. So, Madam, I just have to say, continue your good work. That is all I have to say.
Some of the questions that would have asked have been asked, but on the same page 6, under the user fee B, it says destruction fee. I don't understand. Do you pay to destroy, or you receive, or you destroy and receive money? Please explain that. And again, I will advise that the letter from the President, which counsel you as being generating agency, should be given to Madam Chair, so that she has something on authority to work on. Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts. We've read over the news how you've intercepted a lot of fake productions of fake medicines and consumables. So thank you so much. I believe that you do need a robust budget to carry out your activities. But my only concern is I'm surprised why the minister is not here. And I think we should make it a duty. No, what I'm saying is, while the ministers should stay and attend, witness the presentations of all the agencies. It's very important, because since they are the supervising bodies and coordinating bodies, they must be here, because it would have helped the minister understand your concerns and growth plans better. So maybe we should make it that, not just for health, but even education. As we progress through all the budgetary interfaces with the ministries, we should insist that the ministers should be able to sacrifice a day or two to attend all the presentations of the agencies under them. Very important, please. Thank you so much.
Your DFA, I want her to confirm what retention policy in terms of revenues you make that you remit to consolidated account. What retention policy? You retain 50%, 100%. What's your position, NAFDAC, as an organizer, as an agency? You retain 100% of your revenues, or you remit 100% or 50%? What's the position, official?
Answer now?
Yeah, you can. It will help me.
Yeah. My DFA will talk. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I also took to the President the fact that in 2024, we brought in 31 billion and 30 billion, and he approved generating 2024, August of last year.
Issues. We were somewhere last weekend and something happened. And it was difficult to really get somebody who will come in immediately. In some countries, within 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something happens somewhere, an ambulance will come. Is the ministry really thinking about that? Because you see people really stranded. Somebody is just dying, is collapsing, has either a stroke or sometimes just from stress and the rest of it, or somebody just got injured, life-threatening, and you don't know who to call. Before they can access medical care, they are gone. Is the ministry thinking of at least giving us the basic things and or even working with private sector to set up, because some of those countries, the ambulance systems are privately owned, private companies. Some of them non-profitable organizations. But there is coordinated centrally. And there is even a telephone code to call. It happened like 2-3 times for me, in my presence outside the country. Within maximum 5 minutes, an ambulance would be on spot and the victim will begin to receive medical care immediately before it's taken to a larger facility. Is the ministry thinking about something like that in a very vast country like our own?
Let me add another question. I think my own is part of the problem, which I think is the issue is constitutional. Health, unfortunately, or I don't know why our founding fathers decide to put health under a concurrent list of legislation. And I think the states are legislating and the federal is legislating. And there is a lot of limitations of the federal government over the states on issues of health in general, except federal institutions in the states, which are not many. But health is supposed to be a coordinated activity. And I believe that impediment is an issue. Is the Ministry of Health looking at this with the view of, let's say, initiating a review or a constitutional review on that matter so that we will see how we can make health more of an issue of federal legislation so that the federal, for instance, you cannot just legislate now on private hospitals that are in Bauchi. Not easily. So almost everybody is doing whatever he wants. Is there a way that we can initiate legislation from the ministry to the National Assembly so that we can make some rules that will cut across and everybody will have to follow? The state will not say, no, we cannot accept those. But I think we have to get an initiation. Are you people thinking of in that direction?
Okay, thank you.
So we hope that going forward, we'll be able to upscale the level of attention and the level of releases that we're able to get to the health sector. I also must commend the Senate. Some of these things that you spoke about, distinguished Senator, we have also followed very closely. We know your interest in ensuring that the way funds are released is modified for more efficiency, and you have our support on this. On emergency care, I think that you touched on it. If you count the number of ambulances owned by states, by hospitals, by private sector in this country, I don't have the number, but I am sure it is going to be significant. But each of those ambulances are in silos. The hospitals operating their own, the states operating their own, private sector operating their own. So there's no connectivity, there's no coordination. That is what is missing. Because when you call for an ambulance, it is the nearest ambulance. It doesn't matter who owns it that responds. But right now, there is no national coordination to be able to ensure that all ambulances, whether owned by state government or federal government or by hospitals and so on and so forth, are connected. And one call can raise alarm anywhere. So, and I think that is the challenge that we need to address. The emergency number, I think, is 122. operated by the Federal Road Safety Commission, we need to take a second look at it to make it more functional and connect the ambulance resources that we have in our country. When I was Commissioner for Health in my state, one of the decisions we took is that no hospital should own ambulance again. What do you need ambulance for? Is to respond to emergency. So we'll pull all the ambulances together. And you cannot claim ownership as a hospital that this ambulance belongs to us. It belongs to the entire state. And those ambulances were now deployed in strategic locations. So that even you as an hospital, if you need an ambulance, you call for it. And one of those ones that is closest to you in the strategic location will respond. So, and I think that this is the kind of thing. As an agency of government, specifically for emergency services, ambulance services, I'm sure that they will probably be one of the agencies that will be presenting in front of this committee. I will say that they will be able to provide more clarity. But the vision of the Federal Ministry is to use the health system that the Health Act of 2014 created to connect services, including emergency services. We're working around this partnership with the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, partnership with the subnational government, so that we can have one connected emergency services. On snake venom is something we do every year, and we have locations where we know that snake bite is of higher risk and deployment is higher there. But one thing that I've seen, especially with the recent event that happened,
is the policy level issues, not the nitty-gritty detail down. Because, Chair, we can help them to discuss with Minister of Finance that ratio retention as an agency, 1. 2, on page 6 of your presentation, ma'am, page 6, internally generated revenue proposal. The first block upstairs, you had in 2025 10.622 billion. Then you are projecting in 2026 10.885 billion. Have you seen that page? You see, from your nature of operations, there's something that is within your control, and there are so many outside your control. You can't do anything about it. IGR is one of the items that is 100% under your control. And I think this jump is too small as an achievement, as an objective, as a goal. Yeah, try to grow 20, 30%, 50% growth. This growth is like 200 million, is like 5% growth. You know, the IGR, 25 you did 10 point this, 26 you want to do 10.8. Achieve some more, because that's an area that is under your control. Yes. Now, but most critical is 1, NAFDAC is a critical agency. 2, I'm an accountant. Accounting is meant for us, not us meant for accounting. That means we use accounting to suit our purpose, not accounting using us to suit accounting purpose, no. In other words, because of the nature of your operations, those fees that customers pay for services you render to them in advance, you mentioned 5 years, some instances, you know, that is supposed to be utilized. Accountant General Office and the Federal Ministry of Finance should be able to capture that and use accounting to sub and structure you as per nature of your operations. That's what they should do. Not to say they pack everything every year simpliciter. You know, that's lazy man's work. Yes, from Accountant General Office, they should use accounting to suit your purpose, your nature of operations. So we should pursue that. Thank you.
Chair, DG, I want to say I'm feeling sorry for you.
For Nigeria.
And for Nigeria. But you that you are at the helm of affairs, you see, when you are given a daunting task and not being supported with anything to achieve that, there is every reason for right-thinking minds to feel sorry for you. I don't envy you. Even from your appearance today with your staff, you can see that there is koshoko in the attendance. Because in the past, when you used to come for budget defense, since in our days of when I was in the House of Reps, you used to come robustly. But look at your appearance today. And in addition to what my leader, Senator Tambuwal, has said, all the revenue-generating agencies have told this country that they have exceeded their targets in trillions. In addition to this, we have approved borrowings in this Senate for trillions of naira. Yet, critical agencies like NAFDAC cannot be funded. The risk of what they are doing is they are making NAFDAC and NAFDAC staff very vulnerable. It's like you are now going to visit a pharmaceutical industry to check their excesses or shortcomings. Then you are asking them to fund you to go and see what they are doing. You have compromised already. When you go there, you can't do any meaningful job. Or you are going to see these people that are producing alcohol in sachets, and then you say, okay, we want to come and see you, but we cannot transport our staff. Please send vehicle to come and pick us. You have compromised. And that's exactly what they are exposing you to. I am appealing to this committee to liaise with the Minister of Health to tell them the danger they are putting NAFDAC and NAFDAC staff into. As for what you have provided in your figures, I don't want to get angry this morning, so I will not look at the figures and not ask you any question that you cannot defend, because if you don't have any fund to work with, I don't think you are being encouraged at all to achieve. So if we say we are going to oversight you now, we go to what are we going to oversight? You know. So, Madam Chair, I yield to my colleague.
That was appropriated for our capital projects, 640,588,661 naira. Nothing was released. So you can see on page, I don't think it's labeled, but it's page 1? Is it? Okay. Page 1, yes, page 1. Nothing was released for our capital appropriation. For the personnel, 11 billion approximately was appropriated for us, and all the money was released. That is one thing that the government is doing right, or the Accountant General or Minister of Finance or whatever, because without paying our salary, there is no way. There was an instance about 3 years ago, they said NAFDAC should be paying their salary. I said, really? So if we get 1 million this month, and our salary is 2 million, are we going to ask our staff to wait? Our money comes in streams, and all over the world, government pays salaries of regulators because they know their money is not predictable in terms of when it comes, but salary has to be paid every month. So that is for our capital, where there was no release at all. But that is not surprising, because even the money that the clients paid for
one of 30% having reached maturity 3 level in your tenure, I think we have to
appreciate that this is as a result of a lot of sacrifice and hard work. But also, we are aware of the problem you are having on having the funds released to you, and we did make some approaches to the AGF and the Ministry of Finance. Unfortunately, you did not get all back, but you got 50%, be that as it may. We Nigerians are still expecting a lot from NAFDAC. Still expecting a lot. They are still feeling that essential drugs are not available the way they should be, and essential, potent drugs for that matter. I do believe that you can, even if you have to think outside the box, whatever you need to do, so that we can embolden Nigerians, give them confidence of the drugs, medications that they go to pharmacists to acquire. So I'd like you to speak on that a bit. But I'd also leave the floor open for my colleagues, who I'm sure it's this.
Because the more you move your limbs, the more you make the venom to circulate. You are supposed to call for an ambulance, or at worst call for a neighbor to move you, not yourself. Because the more you drive and press pedal and all that, you are enveloping the venom and encouraging it to circulate. And there are some snake bites that within 30 minutes, if you don't get the antivenom, it may be too late, unfortunately. So, but we'll continue to try our best. One of the key things that we want to do now is also to increase awareness on how people on their own should respond to emergencies. Yesterday, we flagged up a training system that we want to use to train Nigerians on cardiopulmonary resuscitation and basic emergency response, which we hope to be able to take to schools, to communities, cooperating with some NGOs. So that is on emergency. Well, on the law, well, I'm sure, distinguished senator, you know that this is a very, very controversial issue. I think we better just leave it for. But clearly, I believe that the recurrent nature or the concurrent nature of health is not really a problem if we coordinate better, if we are connected better. You know, because for federal government to legislate exclusively on health, it's going to be pretty difficult, in my own opinion. The health needs of people are so diverse that we must ensure that communities, subnational governments are able to take some level of ownership of the health of their people through the legislative arm of their government. So, but I think it's a conversation that is all of us can continue to engage in, and at the end of the day, we can have the best for Nigeria. I want to assure you that going forward, the model that we have adopted with respect to managing industrial actions in the health sector, we are confident that it's going to make us a little more predictive, not reactive to strikes, you know, because we now have a template for collective bargaining, and everybody is now beginning to understand that you can't come to us as GSU and just talk about yourself. When you talk about yourself, yes, we as government, we have to look at the implication of what you are saying on doctors, on nurses, on everybody in the health sector, and ensure that even if we are going to accede to your request as GSU, we also factor the implications on the other health workers alongside, so that we don't have to be coming back and forth over it. Thank you very much, distinguished senators.
To attend to. And we pray that this year we'll be able to see better and greater successes throughout the whole sector, and that there will be no more strikes. Thank you. Thank you.
The money that our clients paid for services was not released. So that is why 2026 is lower, because we are rolling things over. and page 9 will be referred to later. We will start with the capital project as stated in the budget for year 2026. The Senate and the House helped us about 3 years ago, I think, yes, to use lotting to present our budget, because we are in 36 states plus 1, and we do similar things but different expenditure many times. So it's broken down into lots. So you can see from the motor vehicles, which we hope we are going to buy this year, we have 4 lots. The total for motor vehicles is 4.363 or 4.4 billion, and is there on page 10. The summary is on page 9. The next is office equipment. Many lots under office equipment, and the total, I think, goes to how many pages now? Office equipment from page 10 to page 13, distinguished. Is this office equipment? Total for office equipment is page 13. Office equipment is 17? Okay. Up to page 17, sorry, yes. So we have a lot because we have 36 state offices and zonal offices plus FCT. So the total for office, no, it's office furniture. Office equipment is different.
It's page 13.
Page 13, yes. I have many teachers around me. Up to page 13, distinguished. Please pardon my calling 17. So it's 494,499,440 naira 0 kobo, and that is reflected on page 9. So if we now go to office furniture. Office furniture goes through 14, 15, 16, and 17. Total for office furniture and fittings is 199,072,000 naira, and that is also reflected on page 17. There is another pamphlet, distinguished, on appropriation, performance, and 2026 budget proposals. We have
looking at the budget and what I said when DG were here, when the Minister for Health was here. It cannot be different. Budget implementation, particularly 2024, 2025, have been very, very poor. And it cuts across board. So, in fact, personally, when they announced for budget defense, I developed a lot of cold feet because I don't want to be coming here and sit and talk English. And then after the budget is passed, then some people sit on it and refuse to implement it. That is generally speaking. But when it comes to NAFDAC, any serious country gives priority to the health of its people. They go hand in hand with military security. In fact, health issues kill more than what the bandits kill. Because everybody eats. Everybody has some cause at one point or another to take medicine. People drink water. Everybody drinks water. And all those things are regulated by NAFDAC. So to leave NAFDAC without adequate funding is tantamount to saying, let Nigerians go and die. The issue of your budget, especially the user money, I will appeal to my chair to intervene and work hand in hand with the DG to see how it can be done. I know of two agencies that their monies, when paid, goes into many other years. And some of those agencies have been able to get a dedicated account in CBN that the issue of financial year does not affect, and their money, those accounts are not touched at all. The pilgrimage agencies, they pay and the money stays there until the people travel, irrespective of the timelines of government. So if because of pilgrimage somebody's money is not touched, what affects the pilgrims themselves? Since it has been done for some such agencies, I think it should be done for NAFDAC. And that's why I am appealing that Madam Chair and should really work hand in hand with the financial institutions or bodies, agencies, to see that your user money has a dedicated account in CBN where nobody touches, because the money does not belong to federal government. The money belongs to the companies, to the whoever that needs the services of NAFDAC. It is not a federal government money. I repeat so that everybody knows. User money, a company pays so that his product or his company should be inspected. It's not a federal government money. So it's wrong for any federal government to come and take that money and use it elsewhere. So that money, that account should be worked at, and I think you need to work hand in hand with our chair to see that that is done. Because it's very serious. Just as I told the Ministry of Health, I'm not looking down on the Ministry of Livestock, I'm not. But I said Ministry of Health is not livestock ministry. It's not. Because it has to do with human lives. Everything we take has to be as certain that it is safe for human consumption. And that is the mandate of NAFDAC. So that has to be done, Madam Chair and DG. Lastly, I hope you have enough security with you. I know God is keeping you and He will continue to keep you. But I hope you have enough security.
Budget presentation, budget hearing. I would like you to tell us what you have been able to do in the last budgets that you have had to implement, and what you propose to do, what constraints you've had, how your templates, your expenditures, and all those things. Just explain to us so that Nigerians can understand what is going on with NAFDAC and all the functions that you have engaged in. Thank you very much and welcome. I'd like
during the past year, and I would like to have my staff introduce themselves first. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, our distinguished chairman of the Senate Health Committee. We have three packets. The first one is 2026 budget proposals based on lots. Based on lots. That is the one that has the full or almost the full budget contents. We have a table of contents on that particular packet, 2026 budget proposals based on lots. And yes, ma'am. We experience budget-wise as at December 2025. For 2025, the revenue generation budgeted was 40, and please pardon me if I use approximation, is 45.7 billion naira. That is the revenue generation. The actual as at December 2025 is 37.5 billion naira. In terms of the expenditure, overhead expenditure, what was budgeted and approved for us was 16.1 billion naira. And as of December last year, we came close, 15.9 billion naira. That is for overhead expenditure. For the capital expenditure, what was budgeted for us for was 32.1 billion naira. As at December 2025, the performance was just 8.5 billion naira. It has been a rough year, the roughest year, actually the roughest 2 years for NAFDAC, because in 2024 January, we were notified that our account as of 2023 December that had about 19 billion was closed. We could not access it. And a new account was opened for us January 2024 with zero balance. Whenever we want to buy diesel for one vehicle, we start looking at whether money has dropped to buy diesel, because we could not access 19 billion naira that we had up to 2023. And bear in mind, sirs and ma, that the act that created NAFDAC gave NAFDAC the power to roll over the money, because our regulation doesn't end in 1 year. And I will give an example. A manufacturer applies to register a product. If it is overseas, that manufacturer pays $10,500 along with the registration fee, because that is what it's going to take for 2 people to go and inspect that company when the product is approved. To approve a product takes about a year, roughly. So that money is sitting on our platform, and people are seeing it and thinking NAFDAC has money. It is money that is there to deliver service that we have not yet delivered. That is why the creators of our agency, or that developed the act, thought ahead that NAFDAC is not like any other MDA. Which means, another example is post-marketing surveillance. Whatever is paid by the company, we need to use it for over 5 years before we give another renewal. So our money is not just for 1 year. But I want to just make sure that we understand why we had 19 billion. Aside from capital projects, we start state office, we cannot finish, we cannot say, oh, that money is going to go, because the money is already approved. So for 2024, it was the hellish period for NAFDAC. We finally got something 2025, a little bit of money, because in 2024, we brought in 31 billion, and the AGF's office took 30 billion. So the 19 billion that was removed in 2023, they said, okay, we can get 9 billion out of it, about half. Then out of the 9 billion that was supposed to be ours now, they said we can only get 50% out of it. That was what we were able to use for 2024. But they didn't even release it until later in 2025. So it's been extremely devastating to the masses, because it's not money that we put in our pocket. It is the money we use for laboratory testing, the money we use for post-marketing surveillance, the money we use for safety monitoring of vaccines. And I want the country to know that NAFDAC is not about the DG or the staff. It is about all of us. Because if one person is not safe, everybody is not safe. So, because you cannot imagine 32 billion budgeted and only 8 billion. How many children have died? How many women have died? How many men have died of hypertension if we don't do enforcement? So let's move on to 2026. We are proposing for revenue 47.1 billion, for overhead expenditure 26.6 billion naira, for capital expenditure 20.5 billion naira. I want us to please move to page 2 in terms of our revenue. We have two streams of revenues. One that I inherited and is called IGR, and the other one is user fees. For all regulatory agencies across the world, there's what is called user fees. User fees are money paid for service, and I gave an example of the inspection, overseas inspection. IGR covers sales of registration form, advertisement fee, chemical permit, import permit, product certificate fee, workshop fee, and so on and so forth. For user fees, inspection fee, laboratory analysis fee, and with the laboratory analysis fee comes equipment, heavy money-consuming activity for us. Radiation of the product. For 2025 IGR budget, the total was 10.6 billion. The budget performance as at December 2025 was 9.9 billion. That is revenue. So we came close to what we proposed. For user fees, for 2025, what was budgeted for was 45.7 billion naira. Sorry, 35.1 billion naira. So when you add both the user fee and the IGR together, it comes to 45.7 billion naira. In terms of performance for 2025, I mentioned, it's 9.9 billion. For IGR, for user fees, is 27.5 billion. We came close to what we proposed. But it is not the revenue that we generate, it is what is available for us. That's what we have seen in NAFDAC. So in terms of percent performance, for our IGR, like I said, we came very close to what we proposed, 93% in terms of revenue generation. And for user fees, we came close, not as much, 82% performance for user fees. Oh, sorry, 78%. The average is 82% for both IGR and user fees. Sorry for that error. We now go to the expenditure heads. For the expenditure, we have a lot of heads, from local travel to international travel, to the expected internal telephone, electricity, and so on, maintenance of our buildings, security services, legal services, engineering, architectural survey services, and so on and so forth. And from pages 3 and 4, we have the list. The total overhead expenditure for 2025 was 16.1 billion naira. That showed in the summary too. The budget performance as at December 2025 was 15.9 billion. We came close. And the performance in terms of percentage is 98%. That is for our overhead expenditure. Page 5 is another summary of capital budget performance, and the different heads are there, from motor vehicles to office equipment to land and buildings to ICT issues, items. For the last 2 years, we hardly bought vehicles. First, because the AGF took our money, 9 billion. So what the committee, the Senate committee approved was not what is happening on the ground up to today. And I want to use the example of motor vehicle. 1.1 billion was appropriated, 0 was the performance. And we have to use vehicle for enforcement. We have to use vehicle for inspection. I will be referring to this in the subsequent pages, but for office equipment, we budgeted for was 407,078,114 and 21 kobo. I will just go through like that. For ICT is 3 billion or 3.7 billion. For lands and buildings is 15.6 billion. I want to point something out, distinguished. Most of our expenditure or most of our offices in the states are located in the Federal Secretariat. And for one reason or the other, NAFDAC is always floor 6, floor 8, and whatnot. And when we think of MSMEs, our customers coming in and out, it is not convenient. So we started building state and zonal offices. That's why we have a lot of money under lands and buildings. For ICT, we have maturity level 3 as an agency, and we are one of the 30% in the world that has maturity level 3. Because to get maturity level 3, you have to fulfill 9 functions. From the regulatory system, the staffing, the space, the ICT and whatnot, to clinical trial, to market control, which includes enforcement, to laboratory testing. They divided up what makes a matured agency. They divided it up into 8 functions. When I took over NAFDAC, ICT was not functioning at all. It was put in the freezer, so to say. And we realized that we have to be transparent. There was no one director that had laptop that NAFDAC bought in 2017. No one single director. Computer is not luxury for us, just like vehicles. If we want to become part of the world. So you can see that ICT took a lot. We have been buying laptops, desktops, different softwares to make sure that we are transparent, to make sure they respect us as a country. And they are respecting us now as a country. But it is through thick and thin. Because what? The country is bigger than NAFDAC. It's bigger than me. And if I love this country, I have to work for it. That is what we have been doing. Spinning gold out of hay, out of grass. Spinning gold out of grass. So the vehicle, we have not bought any vehicle because the price keeps jumping. You appropriate 1 billion, the price is now 3 million. So I will take you through, the next few pages. So for page 6, in terms of internally generated revenue proposal for 2026 in comparison to 2025, 10.9 billion is being proposed for 2026. 10.6 billion was proposed for 2025. And that is for IGR. The second revenue stream is our user fees that I explained. 36 billion is being proposed. For 2025, 35 billion was proposed, but we hardly even saw the money. So the total for 2025 IGR and user fees is 47.1 billion naira, as opposed to 45.7 billion naira for 2025. For 2026 overhead expenditure projections, I will take you through to from page 7, distinguished, to actually say pages 7 and 8. The projection for our 2026 is 26.6 billion naira, and for 2025 as opposed to 2026 is 16.1 billion naira. That is for overhead expenditure projections. In terms of capital projects, I'm going to take us through different subheads: lab equipment, land and building, and so on. ICT, you have seen even there's some of the explanations. The total proposed capital is 20 billion as opposed to 32 billion for 2025. Why? Because we did almost nothing in 2025 because our money was not released.